Hey everybody, I put a trigger warning because this is going to be about my dad. He did everything to me. I know that he was doing it before I was 12 years old, but I've blocked out most of it. I have dissociative identity disorder that I found out 2 years ago, so it makes sense for adding on with the PTSD and the borderline personality disorder and my OCD, generalized anxiety disorder, and OCD, and major depressive disorder. I only have a few appointments left with my psychologist, and I have to go back to my hometown where all of my abuse happened. Not just only what my dad did to me, but other relationships. So if you're watching, please be aware that what I say is triggering, especially for me. This is really, really hard. And I don't tell many people about my past. When I was in Germany, back before 98, my dad did simple things to like torture and abuse physically, before I found out that he was sexually hurting me. When the times that he did hurt me, I would get full body paralysis, or I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't stop it, I couldn't say no. I told at 14 years old and no one believed me. My dad left the house and didn't get in trouble for it. I didn't know that my adoptive mom was also the reason for my PTSD, because she's in denial of everything that happened to me and my siblings. So I put a big trigger warning because I thought that my dad was only hurting me and not my brother and sister. Because I asked him to promise me that he would only hurt me and not them. So I thought that I was taking all of the pain. But that wasn't true. So my daily triggers are with water. So I put trigger warnings, so if whoever's watching, this is about my dad and my past, and it's really hard. My daily triggers are stuff that I have to force myself to do. Otherwise, I have full-blown panic attacks, or I'll isolate myself so bad, or I have to push myself to do these things, even with my coping skills. A lot of the times that I've had to face my fears, because doctors have told me that I need to, have caused me to be hospitalized. But I haven't been inpatient in 2 years, which has been really good with using my grounding techniques to help me to not disassociate during flashbacks or episodes. It's been a while since, because I have dissociative identity disorder, that my alters do not come out. This is hard for me to talk about. So I put a trigger warning. I can't drive, not just because of my spine issues. Trigger warning because my dad said it was a game to teach me to drive. And that's all I can say. I'm not going to say more. So that really is why I cannot drive. Every time I get behind the wheel, I think of my dad. Every time I take a shower, I think of my dad. I can't go swimming. I can't go to the lake. I can't take baths. It's very difficult. Very difficult. Sorry if this triggers anybody else, but I don't know how else to let this out. I keep on bottling up. The support system that I have with everyone else, in person, do not understand or know why I can't get over my triggers, which my husband knows all of my triggers and he knows how to push my buttons, and it hurts. We should be able to trust our loved ones and feel safe. And so I've learned to set boundaries, but sometimes that doesn't work. I don't know who's watching. I can't see who's watching, but feel like my heart is beating a million miles an hour. But my dad, trigger warning, he took my virginity from me when I was 12 years old. I can't go camping because of him. He took all my firsts away from me. And I don't know how to get over it. Not only that, because of the people in my hometown where I have to go back to in a couple of weeks to visit before I move to California. Thanks, Joe. I have to be there where the abuse happened. My dad was former military, Army, and I found out about a year ago, I found out that the camp that he was a camp leader at an academy, and on the site, they put this whole list of like his 20 years of being in the service and making him out to be this perfect person. And this is a trigger warning because this really upsets me. This really got to me. Out of everything that my father has ever done to me, my sister passed away 10 years ago. But in 2005 is when I graduated from high school. But this is when he started working in the academy, and I didn't know. He was working, up until a year ago, he was working with boys from 6 to 12 for a military academy. And he was a camp director, which, like I said, camping is a trigger for me. So anything I'm saying is this is a whole trigger warning for the group. He ended up quitting after one of the kids committed suicide. I found out about that. I have spoken to detectives in his state about this academy, about him working there. And my husband's the one that found out that my dad put back in 2005 about him having 3 kids. That he has 2 daughters, and in parentheses, he put both deceased, which I'm not, and 1 son. Out of everything he's done to me, that really hurts, that he says that I don't exist anymore. Just so that he can't get in trouble, which he never got in trouble for. The detective I spoke to said that he was never registered a sex offender anywhere. I know he has hurt other people. I know he's hurt my brother and sister. And I'm afraid to call the academy because it hurts my stomach just thinking about it. I talked to my psychologist about it. And she says it's up to me to make the decision to make that call. But when I looked up about this academy, there was other accusations against other staff that they're not doing anything about it. And there's a lot of bullying and stuff, a lot of suicides from those kids there. And it's really sad. And I feel like if I knew that he was working there or a year ago, which I wasn't mentally stable enough to contact the academy, which he doesn't work there anymore, but he is friends with them, with a lot of the staff there. And this is really hard for me. I don't know how I'm holding it together right now. My dad took everything from me. I have nightmares every night, flashbacks every day. It could be one word, it could be a smell, it could be anything. And my grounding techniques or coping skills sometimes don't work. And I wish that I could forget the awful things that he's done to me. But how do you take back? My mother-in-law said, because it was my son's birthday a couple years ago, we went to Sesame Place, and at the hotel they told me we were going to take my son to go swimming at the pool. I didn't want to do it. She says I need to make new memories to help. I had a really bad panic attack by doing it, but they don't understand, her or my husband. And also trigger warning, 2 years ago when I was on a medication, they put me on an antipsychotic medication, and I was hallucinating. I wasn't having visual hallucinations until I was on that medication. I have DID, dissociative identity disorder, so I do hear, my other selves, in my head. Not like how they see in the other movies and stuff where you see yourself outside of yourself. But like when you have an episode or like I get full body paralysis during trauma or traumatic events, I get full body paralysis. Well, in those times, I was not able to fight back. And that's why a lot of other relationships, all of them hurt me in so many ways that I can't even say. I just don't like the fact that the people that where I'm going back to my hometown don't believe me or didn't stop it or do anything about it. And my dad is still roaming free and probably still hurting other people, and it hurts. And I don't know why, and I think that the people in his town who the detectives have called, and even I called his pastor last year, which to me, religion is a trigger for me because of my past. And I called him, and he said he hadn't seen him in 3 months. And of course, he said that whatever, no, I can't avoid the trip. I have to go through there and stay there until we get a house in California and set up. So I don't know how long I'm going to be there. I wish I could avoid the trip. And it really hurts. So I'm pretty much probably going to isolate myself in the house because I don't want to see anybody because so many people made fun of me. Thank you. But my dad doesn't work at that academy anymore. He doesn't go to that church anymore. The pastor I spoke to, I told him, he says he didn't know, he thought that I was deceased, like my sister. And of course, he said he wasn't going to tell my dad that I had spoke to him, which that was really hard for me to do with my past because of being raised Catholic. And that's all I'm going to say about that because when you have to honor your mother and father, and that's what I did. I also was adopted. My adopted mom is not my real mom. I found out at 11 years old before I moved to the States in 98. And the worst part is that she told me in an inappropriate way, which is one of my triggers is baths. And she told me while she was in the bath. So, to me, I don't know how I'm supposed to overcome these triggers. I just don't know. It's hard. I'm hoping that when I move to California, I'll find a support group for trigger warning because that's a really hard word to say, for incest, and I don't know how any parent could hurt their kid in any form or fashion and get away with it. I'm upstairs because I don't want my son to know about my past. I'm not going to tell him. But my adopted mom was physically, emotionally abusive. And she still is. I have her blocked on my phone. And I just don't know how I'm going to deal with being back home. The other trigger, the last one I'm going to say before I get off of here, is what caused all of my inpatient hospitalizations 2 years ago for 2.5 years, the 36 times, was someone from my hometown sent me a text message, but my phone had messed up and I lost all my contacts. And they had said, "Hey, Kira, how are you?" And I was like, I didn't know who this is, so I just responded, "Sorry, I don't know who this is. My phone messed up." This is a trigger. And they kept on harassing me. Then my husband called them and told them to stop harassing me. And to this day, I still think that he knows who it is. And it's someone from my hometown. Someone who is my so-called friend. And their response back was, "Sorry, Justin, your wife is a whore who loves to F her dad." I lost it. I was in shock. I had a psychosis break. I ended up being hospitalized. And I had several attempts, which I've been safe for 2 years. And I use other skills to help. But words do hurt. Words really do hurt, and you can't take those back. And I don't like to compare and contrast with anybody because we all deal with trauma or stress or our disabilities or diagnoses, labels. I hate labels. But I have lost a lot of friends because of my past and because of my diagnoses, and it hurts. And I don't like to judge anybody, because I'm very empathetic and I care about everybody. Sometimes I have to take a step back, like setting the healthy boundaries, so I can protect myself first. But I do care more than a lot of people, because if anybody else is empathetic, they know what I'm talking about. Like, you can actually feel other people's pain, and it hurts, and you can't separate your feelings and emotions from others, so you have to take a step back. Thanks, y'all. No, I'm staying with my mother-in-law in Texas, not my adopted mom. She wants to see me, but she has not called me back in 3 days, so I'm not going to visit her. I don't want to visit her. I'll explain later more about that, but I need to take care of my son. I want to be a better parent than my parents. My adopted mom, my bio mom abandoned me as a baby before I was 2 years old with a babysitter, never came back. We had skin disease from head to toe from not being bathed. I think a lot of my health issues and my allergies, my skin sensitivity is due to that. She fed us beer in a bottle and left pills out for us to eat, so we'd go to sleep so she can leave the house and go party. She left us with lots of people, and we were hurt by them. I met her 9 years ago. That was the biggest mistake I ever did. I thought that people can change after 20 years. Some people just don't change. And I keep on giving chances to my adopted mom. And I don't know why. Like, if I get upset at my husband, I'll call her. Because I can't tell my mother-in-law how my husband is. But my husband reminds me of my dad so much that a few years ago, I told my alters have called my husband my dad, because he reminds me of my dad. And then one of the times that when I was on an antipsychotic a couple of years ago, I was in the hospital, in the ER, and I saw my dad and my husband standing right next to each other in front of my bed. That was the time that I had a restraining order against my husband for after him hurting one of my alters for my DID. And the reason why I have to stay is because I have nobody else, and I can't drive, and the threats that he will get full custody of my son again. That's what happened, and I talked about it before, and I will talk more about it later. It really hurts. This was really hard for me to say, and I hope I didn't trigger anybody. Thanks, y'all. I just don't know how anybody can hurt their kids. It just doesn't go away, the flashbacks, the memories, the everything. I used to be very social, and I have to avoid almost everything because of it. Hi, Ronan. But my dad really hurt me so bad. And I know this was 16 years ago that I told on him, but 10 years ago since I've seen him, and the last time that he hurt me. Another trigger warning, my dad had taken pictures of me and was getting paid for them. So that really hurts. And I can't take those back. I tried. I had the proof of all of this, but no one did anything about it. They just let him. Because where I'm from is a small hometown, and everybody pushes everything under the rug. And this was really hard for me to do, and I don't want to break down crying because I feel like crying is a weakness, and I have to go and take care of my son, and I can't be like this. But I don't want him to know. It's just sad that he's not going to have my family a part of his life, which he shouldn't, because they hurt me, and I don't want him to be hurt the way I was. I want to raise him better than I was raised. I wish I could have my childhood back. So I want to give him a better childhood than I did. and break the cycle. And thank y'all for listening, and I will talk to you later. This was really, really, really hard for me. But when I move, I'm going to find a support group. I'm going to hopefully find a great therapist that is more knowledgeable about the DID and all my other diagnoses, and is not going to judge me for my stuff, because there's a lot of doctors that don't believe in DID, or even some of my physical issues that I spoke about yesterday, like fibromyalgia and stuff with chronic pain. And we should be able to trust our doctors too, and for them to believe us and not judge us or anyone. This was really hard for me, and I hope I didn't trigger anybody, because this subject is very hard. Why does he get to be happy and move on while I suffer every day? Everything triggers me, and you can't avoid everything. So I'm safe. I haven't been inpatient 2 years, like I said, which is a really good thing. But I'm nervous about moving, but I will be definitely keeping in touch while I move during the process. And thanks everybody for watching and for the support. I really appreciate y'all very much. Take care.